Now, I mentioned Campaign for Liberty, and we are a political activist group here in the community. We get involved in a lot of local issues and a lot of national issues as well. One that's very pertinent to us right now, of course, is the economy and money. So I'd like someone to come up right now, Janet Lee, who is going to talk to you about real money, gold and silver. Janet Lee.
Wow. I'm really glad to see so many come to this first event. And believe me, there's going to be more, okay? I told the young people that here are two laws that we all really need to know right now. You have them on your seat. One is, first of all, the Colorado Constitution, Article 61, gold and silver coin, illegal tender. The gold and silver coin issued by the government of the United States shall be legal tender for the payment of all debts contracted on and after April 5th, 1893, between the citizens of this state. The same shall be received in payment of all debts due to citizens of this state, and in satisfaction of all taxes levied by the authority of the laws of this state. What happened to that law? How come nobody's enforcing it? How many lawyers do we have? How come no one enforces the law? We graduate 600 attorneys from this school every year. How come this law is not enforced? The second one that we need to keep handy, I studied law for 8 years, so on my own, is American Jurisprudence, second, section 256. No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it. This is very important for us all to know right now, isn't it? We're not bound to enforce unconstitutional laws. Those are the two that are really main for us all to know. Okay, I wanted to start with, first of all, again, I want to thank the University of Colorado, and it's so wonderful to see these young people take hold. I mean, they are so fantastic. It's just wonderful. Young Americans for Liberty. Be sure and support them in every way you can. And also, please join us, the mentor group, which is the Campaign for Liberty group. We have several of our members here. Do you want to stand up? The members? Are you concerned about your family, your community, and your country right now? How many people are? You know, I'm an American grandmother and mother, and I'm very concerned for the young people. Okay? We're in a grave position right now. I'm going to tell you a story, and it's a true story. And it may shock you a little, but it's our story. It's my husband and my story. I see this as a contrived destruction of our once healthy families, community, and country. How many of you see it that way? Why? Because my wonderful husband Jim and I, along with many other middle-class Americans, have had first-hand experience of this pattern of destruction before, and it's only getting worse. In the early 1980s, the Federal Reserve banks raised interest rates to as high as 21% overnight, thereby destructing millions of family-owned businesses and small farms, along with multi-millions of creative livelihoods. Creative livelihoods. Our family owned a lumberyard, and we could not survive when our profit on harbor was only 17%, okay? Besides, we were paying our workers very good wages, as well as supporting our community and our church, and we were all prospering. Look what has taken their place. Big box lumberyards that take profits from the community while paying meager wages. Did you notice they also narrow the choices in producers? so that less producers can exist. Guess who really owns them? Did you know that central banks with a monopoly over the money supply is the 5th plank of the Communist Manifesto? Look it up. 2 weeks after the theft of our lumberyard, a big, gruff man appeared at our door. When I opened the door, he growled, "What half of the acreage do you want us to take?" He did not identify himself. And in shock, I said, "What?" He again shouted, "What half of the acreage do you want us to take?" Our acreage wasn't far from the Nebraska Mental Hospital, so I thought he was an escapee. So holding the screen door shut, I demanded he identify himself. It turned out he was an IRS agent. Isn't it interesting that within weeks of the theft of our lumberyard by the Federal Reserve banks, an IRS agent shows up to further ravage our family? Do you know they are both created the same year, 1913? Do you know that a heavy and progressive and graduated income tax is the 2nd plank of the Communist Manifesto? We had 3 small children at the time, and within a few months after working for years to own our own lumberyard, our family was thrown into total financial meltdown. Of course, we were in total shock. We had to borrow against our acreage, which thankfully was nearly paid off. We now see this was a planned, major destruction of the middle class of America in order to keep our families in perpetual debt and bondage, just as the financial manipulations of the Federal Reserve are today. The dollar began to tank and many communities went to community-based currencies. The most famous was Ithaca Hours and Berkshire's. And at one point, there were over 300 communities creating their own money, just like during the Depression. Okay? Ithaca Hours even offers its own grants and loans now. The drawback to local currencies is, though, you cannot take them from one community to the next to purchase goods and services. A better solution was created in 1998 by Bernard von Nothaus, who created LibertyDollar.org to issue a silverback currency and has over 22 million silver rounds and certificates circulating today. However, in November of 2007, he was coming out with a coin with Representative Ron Paul's picture on it. So the FBI stole 2 million of them and brought a case against him. He'd been in business for 10 years. I'll let you draw your conclusions from that, okay? Now they have false and malicious charges, but the case is just sitting in court. So what happened to a speedy trial? That was November 2007. Okay. Another great solution, though, are the many new silver currencies being created by local people, organizations, and communities working with the American Open Currency Standard Group. The Lakota people are declaring their sovereignty and upholding their values by creating their own silver. And we have one at the table out there. You're welcome to buy it. Look, it's beautiful. Okay. They're also going to be rescinding their treaties with the U.S. government because the U.S. government has never honored them. Okay. We will soon be coming out with the silver commemorating the 10 Bill of Rights. The first one is the Second Amendment coin, and the design is out there at the table. I just finished it. I just got the artwork back, and we're going to be putting that one out. We invite you to learn about them at our table because locally created value-backed currencies are one big solution. We must begin to support our local people and businesses by exchanging a value-backed, just weights and measures currency, just as our forefathers planned and created the law to enforce. We have provided you with the 2 most important laws people need to know today: Colorado Constitution Article 61 and 16 American Jurisprudence. Please also read the Law on Creation of Sound Money in Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution. And be sure to read the 1792 Coinage Act, which has never been rescinded. It establishes the just weights and measures, along with a penalty for debasing our once sound value-backed currency. Thank you very much.